What's good, everybody? If you're a first-time viewer of my content and of this video, welcome to the Omnist podcast. This is episode 68. We're changing it up a little bit. All right, I'm flexing the arms out today, and it's so it was a little cloudy, when I was recording and setting stuff up. But as we can see, the sun is coming out, but I see some clouds coming through, so I don't know what they got in store, to just be frank with you. So, I know last time when I had a podcast and I was recording, the clouds were doing they thing, and it just seems like whenever I want to do something out here, the clouds want to go spirit, just going all over the place. So hopefully you can see me, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm looking good. I try to keep it balanced so that if it gets dark, it won't get too dark, and if it gets bright, you can still see me, you know what I'm saying? I could still probably mess with the brightness and stuff like that if I need to when I go and edit it. But it feels great out here. It's like, I don't know, it feels like it's at least 75, almost 80 degrees probably. I really do feel the sun. The bugs aren't really bad out here, even though it was raining yesterday, so that's very interesting. But I'm rocking the fro out today. I got my do without wilt shirt going on, so we repping. And today it's a random topic. It's random, but I know this is going to be informative because I like to deal with different aspects of feminine energy. And the reason why is because you don't often hear a lot of men be very informative and talk about feminine energy. And I only talk about it not to pander to women, not to try and, get on women's good side, whatever people might say about me, right? Even though I don't hear those type of things, but I know it's coming. So I want to give those disclaimers out. I want to make it very known that a lot of men are very uninformed on feminine nature. I mean, it's so bad to the point where like a lot of men don't even know how to pleasure women in bed. It's gotten that bad, I've seen like Jesse Lee Peterson on interviews and having whole conversations with other men. I mean, like, they laughing it up and they giggling and they agreeing with each other. Like, I don't know if y'all seen the video. The man literally like giggling and arguing, like not arguing, but they really having a whole conversation. Like, it's abnormal for a woman to have a climax, or it's abnormal for her to take her time to get there, or if you get there before her, that's her loss. That's ridiculous. And I've heard that on Fresh and Fit as well. And I have my own perspective on, men going their own way in the manosphere content. And if it's necessary, if it's needed, I'll include it into this video. That's if the spirit leads me there. But thank you to everybody who've been supporting my content. I just got verified on Instagram between the last time that I recorded to now. So very much thankful for that. I always got to give my disclaimers. I do apologize if you hear cars going back and forth. You hear nature doing its own thing. I don't mind nature just doing its own thing. They just gonna do what they do. All right. But yeah, I want to give a special shout out to everybody who's been supporting me in my content and stuff like that. Like I said before, we did get verified, on the Omnist Roam, so you can follow me on there if you don't know where I be. You just come across me on YouTube, or whatever the case is. You're just now listening to me on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. So welcome to the Omnist podcast. So this episode is going to be about modesty and promiscuity. We're going to be talking about all the feminine archetypes concerning the basis of being modest and being wild and promiscuous and all that type of stuff. And we're going to talk about how they coexist and how they work hand in hand and how they come together, you know, because a lot of people, they want to be one-sided with this. And I've been seeing a lot of stuff for the past week or so about modesty and how women just need to be modest and they need to cover up and they need to concern themselves about this, that, and the third. And so I want to give some information to the ladies, and I want to inform the fellas on these archetypes, because we're not dealing with how the world sees things. We're not dealing with social terms and all this other type of stuff. We're dealing with spirituality. Okay, so we have to understand that we are within this world, but we are not of this world. Okay, so it needs to be understood that when we're dealing with energy, we're dealing with something far beyond than society and social terms and social constructs and stuff like that. So we're going to be dealing with how the virgin and the whore are the same person. We're going to be dealing with how men are greatly uninformed. I should have got my mic. We're going to talk about how men are greatly uninformed on the archetypes of women and how they can literally shapeshift in a way, you know. This show that I watched on Netflix called In From the Cold, like she can shapeshift into different people that she meet and come in contact with and stuff like that. And that's what the woman can do. That's what the feminine energy can do. There was another character, I believe, on, who was it? On the Addams Family, Wednesday, you know, the woman that could shapeshift and stuff like that. So it shows you the feminine energy can shapeshift. That's what she can do. The reason why a woman can multitask and she can do 3 or 4 or 5 things at one time. She's so well organized and she can advise you and she can counsel you. All this type of stuff is because that's what the feminine energy can do. It transforms, it renews, it shapeshifts, it does all this type of stuff. It rejuvenates, it renews. And so that's the power and the importance behind that feminine energy. It's why, like, when I hear some of these manosphere men talk about, like, well, men can survive without women. That has to be the weirdest thing I've ever heard a man say. Like, what's wrong with y'all niggas? Like, you have the audacity to say that men don't need women, but women need men? You mean to tell me you can survive without women? You can survive without pussy? Yeah, 911, come get these niggas. Because it's ridiculous. It's beyond me. It is truly beyond me. And so when you have men out here, you know, pushing these rhetorics, these negative and these toxic rhetorics about women, it just mind boggles me. Because men and women are supposed to be one, you know. And for these men, you know, it's very ironic that some of them are very religious. They have God in their life, yada, 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 yada. But God, their God said that man is not good for a man to be alone. That a man leaves his father and mother to cleave to his wife and become one. So how can you say a man doesn't need a woman, but in the good book, it tells you in the Bible that a man is supposed to leave his father and mother to cleave to his wife and become one. You can't have masculine without feminine or feminine without masculine, and you cannot have the man without the woman. In this hero's journey, a man must meet up with the goddess. He must save the princess in order to become king, in order to become the hero. You need that feminine spark in order to activate the hero within. You have to. It's a part of the journey. The same thing with the woman. She must find her nice and shining armor, her knight, the hero, to come and save her. that deals with submission and that deals with femininity, right? All that type of stuff. But let's get into the basis of this and, you know, why I'm talking about these type of things. So one of my friends found it very suspicious that I, as a man that deal with a lot of, wait for this truck to come by. So my friend thought it was very suspicious that I, as a man, deal with feminine energy, and I deal with wild feminine energy and the Devi energy, and talk about women, you know, embodying their sexuality and all that type of stuff. And she finds it weird that I can, you know, promote this type of message in one way and then uphold Erica LeShai in another. For my close friends, like, I mean, I don't talk about it often as much, but I love Erica LeShai. Love Erica LeShai. I was just watching an interview with her on Do Too Much with Lewis. You know, I keep up with her content on a weekly basis. Love Erica LeShai. And my friend found it very weird and was like, how could you have a crush on Erica LeShai and yet promote the exact opposite archetype or character of Erica LeShai? I told her because the woman that I promote on my page, Erica LeShai, is the same person. She said, what? Stop lying on that woman's name. I ain't lying on that woman's name. The only difference is she don't show that side to the world. See, y'all think she all nice and innocent and assalamu alaikum. But what you think she gonna do for a man that she love? Y'all ain't never seen that side. I'm trying to, let me stop. But listen, a lot of these fellas, they ain't never gonna see that side from her. They never gonna see her act out, wild out. See, you think she's all nice and ooh, the beautiful Ma'at and the beautiful Isis and all this type of stuff. You ain't never seen her wild out like Kali. You ain't never seen her wild out like Oya. You ain't never seen her wild out like Ishtar. Ishtar will not tire. See, but she looks all nice. She look like the Virgin Mary, all this type of stuff. But listen, the virgin and the whore are one and the same. The only difference is the 304 wants to express that sexuality, that fire, to the world. So on social media, she might look like a typical, you know, IG influencer, you know, OnlyFans, 304, whatever the case is. But she could be dressed as modest. You could meet her out on the streets in highways and byways. You could run into her at the mall and she covered up and everything. Don't even recognize her because she literally plays a different character. It could be vice versa. We don't know. Everything just want to go down when I'm doing a goddamn live stream or a podcast. I don't know if y'all can hear that. I apologize. But let me make this clear. Erica LeShai and that typical 304 on Instagram could be one and the same. Because Erica LeShai is this beautiful, modest woman on social media. She's a beautiful, modest woman with her friends and her family out and about. But when she meets the man that she truly loves, that she wants to be with, oh, she gonna act out. I guarantee it. I don't even know Erica LeShai. But you have these beautiful, modest women, right? The old saying goes, a lady in the streets and a freak in the sheets. And you have these women out here who can wild out. I'm talking about they wilding out. You think they just getting passed around or they passing through men. But when she meets the right one, she covered up. You don't even recognize her. You don't even recognize her when she out and about with her man. She modest, she caring, she feminine. She ain't wilding out like she do on social media. or when you see her at the club, or when she out with her friends, but when she with the right man, oh, she gonna act like the Miss Virgin. You see how this works? They're one and the same. They just flip the coin on you. They just flip the script on you. See, while the beautiful, modest, Virgin, Miss Virgin, Mary, all this type of stuff, she act like this on social media, out and about. But when she meet the right man, she gonna pop it open. But the 304, she popping it open now. But when she meet the right one, she gonna be the Virgin Mary. and that might be a little confusing for you, but I want you to understand that the virgin and the whore, or the modest woman and the promiscuous one, are one and the same, right? And we're dealing with archetypes. We're not even dealing with, social roles. We're not even dealing with social roles or gender roles or, certain occupations and stuff like that. We're dealing with archetypes. We're dealing with personalities. Because a woman wants to be that nasty, freaky, dirty little girl. That woman wants to be that nasty freak for her man. That's what she wants to be. And the nasty, dirty freak wants to be that nice, faithful maiden woman for her man. Because they're one and the same. They literally just portray themselves in an opposite manner, but they're one and the same. See, we have this thing of, if she a 304 or if she's promiscuous, she belongs to the streets. But in the occult world, it's in the streets that you're going to find God. Bobby Hemmett talks about how, there's a story of a man searching for God or searching for the one. And he walking up and down the streetways, passing all these type of people. He passing this prostitute up and down the block. He gives up and he asks the prostitute, where can I find the one? And the prostitute says, I am the one. Remember in Bruce Almighty, Jim Carrey passing the janitor. You wouldn't suspect the janitor to be God. But here, lo and behold, the janitor is God. So what you need to understand is that God portrays itself in many different ways, even in the promiscuous 304. You ever and we have this saying it's about the message and not the messenger, right? And that message where, the crackhead down the block or the 304, they could spit some bars here and there. And you just sitting there like, how? How is it I can listen to Kanye? And as crazy as Kanye may be, I can learn from Kanye because you're not getting the message from Kanye. How is it I can listen to Suki Hana, oh so ghetto, but she's spitting facts here and there? It's because you're not listening to Suki Hana. The Spirit is talking. Y'all ain't ready for this. Y'all ain't ready. Just go ahead and scroll. Y'all ain't ready for this. Y'all not ready for this. You're not ready. You're not ready for this. The Spirit is talking. Message, that's who's talking. You thinking, oh, I can't listen to Kanye. He might be spitting facts, but I can't listen to Kanye. But it's not Kanye talking. Especially if the message resonates with you. Kanye not talking. There's been times where I've been down and out, right? And throughout the whole day, different people will be saying the same thing. I lied to you not. It was on a Thursday. And I was just down and out. And I was just inconsistent that day. And I was just discombobulated and everything. And everybody, from my professor to the people at my intern to close friends, they all were saying the same thing. Don't stop. Just keep going. Don't give up. Be consistent. Don't let anybody change you. Everybody's saying the same thing. Now, these are good people here and there, but it's something beyond the physical. If everybody's saying the same thing on that one day, on that one occasion. So we must understand how the spirit works. The spirit shows itself in many different ways. It disguises itself in many different ways. And even furthermore, we have to understand the divinity in certain archetypes and characters, because the whore can be dressed as divine as the modest virgin, the beautiful queen of nature and of the heavens, dressed as divine as the queen of hell, the queen of the underworld, the great harlot of Babylon. You see what I'm saying? And sometimes the great mother of heaven looks like the great queen of hell. Sometimes the queen of heaven looks like a hoe. And sometimes the queen of the underworld looks like a beautiful virgin. It's beautiful the way that these type of energies play these type of roles. And so these are things that we have to be mindful of. And I have some things before this video ends. I have some things that need to be addressed concerning the wild feminine archetype, right? Because the wild woman archetype and this wild feminine energy can't only just be expressed through women, but it can be expressed through men as well. And so that needs to be addressed. And see, men can't truly activate their true selves until they deal with the divine feminine within themselves. Now, that doesn't mean that we're supposed to be the same thing as women are. We can never be what women are. Women are they were equipped, they were made to be the divine embodiment of that divine feminine nature. So, you have that. The man was equipped and was created and was made to be the exact, embodiment of divine masculine. But he has, if you look in yin and yang, there's a lesser yang and yin, and there's a lesser yin and yang. Right? There's a lesser yin and yang, and there's a lesser yang and yin. So we have feminine energy, but we don't have the feminine energy to be the embodiment of feminine energy. That's why you have some men out here that they trying to be something else, and they could never be it, no matter how hard they try, because they weren't equipped to be that. The same thing for the women. They can wear as many jorts and snapbacks and have as many muscles and tattoos as they want, but they can never embody that. So it needs to be understood that the man is going on this journey not only to find himself, but to come back to himself while also finding his other piece, right? There's a mythology where man and woman were once one being and they were separated, right? Like a hermaphrodite, man and woman. That man and woman were once one, and yet, God or some divine being or whatever the case is, they separated them. And so man goes out searching for the woman, and woman goes out searching for the man. And that's a beautiful explanation for man finding woman and being one with woman, and man and the woman finding man in the same way, and vice versa. Before we get into that though, so I did a little bit of research, right? So there are different ways in which, for the women, there are different ways in which women can embody these different archetypes, because a woman can be the virgin and the whore at the same time, right? Being the virgin, it must be made known, all right? Gotta let you know that to be the virgin has nothing to do with somebody taking your V card. Okay? Being the virgin originally was to symbolize a young woman, or to symbolize somebody who does not have a child. Okay? So that's what it would symbolize. But it was shifted and it changed, and I hate to use the word patriarchy, right? But through that type of concept and through that shift, they changed the concept and the beauty and the divinity behind being the virgin, right? Dealing with the Virgo energy. And they dealt with it from taking a woman's V card. which is completely despicable. But we're dealing with spirituality. Let's deal with the archetypes here. So I dealt with some research, and so it says right here that there are ways in which that a woman can embody the virgin and the promiscuous one, right? The number one way that a woman can embody the virgin and the promiscuous one is embracing different aspects of sexuality. A woman can embrace both the virgin and the whore archetypes by recognizing that sexuality is a multi-faced and complex aspect of human experience. She can explore different aspects of sexuality, such as intimacy, sensuality, and sexual exploration in a way that is authentic and comfortable for her life. Number 2, recognizing the importance of boundaries. A woman can embody both archetypes by recognizing the importance of boundaries in sexual relationships. She can set her own boundaries and communicate them clearly to her partners while also respecting the boundaries of others. This allows her to explore sexuality in a way that is safe and respectful. 3, cultivating a healthy relationship with sexuality. A woman can embody both archetypes by cultivating a healthy relationship with her own sexuality. She can prioritize self-care, self-love, and self-acceptance while also being mindful of the impact of her sexual behavior on herself and others. This also allows her to explore different aspects of herself and her sexuality in a way that is positive and empowering. It is important to recognize that there are no single right way to embody these archetypes. A woman can explore her sexuality in a way that is authentic and comfortable for her, while also being mindful of the impact of her behavior on herself and others. You know, and like I said in one of my videos or one of my podcasts about, like, you know, the Kundalini energy and the Shakti energy, it's very important and it's very crucial that men learn to, you know, accept and embody that Shakti Kundalini energy and stuff like that. But also, you know, to channel and invoke that feminine energy within themselves, because it's through feminine energy that you're going to be inspired and motivated to do stuff. It's through the feminine energy that you're going to have the inspiration to be creative, the inspiration to act out on certain motives and certain ideas and stuff like that that you might have in your everyday life. You know, and so, you know, when dealing with the promiscuous woman or the wild woman, it's a threat to the male ego. And you can call me whatever you want after this, but this has to be said. In order for a man to truly transform into becoming the Son of Man, the Messiah, or the hero of his journey, or to become the best version of himself, he must accept the wild feminine energy. Now, not every man is going to, you know, how do I put this? Not every man is going to accept it. And it shows you that not every man has been completed. Now, at the end of the day, nobody's ever going to be complete. All right, so don't take it in that manner if you want to try and take this literal. But no man is ever going to reach that different, you know, the next level of consciousness or the next level of enlightenment if he can't even accept the wild feminine energy. Because it's through this wild feminine energy, it's through the promiscuous one, it's through the sacred harlot or the divine whore that you are going to be renewed. This is how you're going to get your christening. This is how you're going to be anointed. Now, I'm not saying that it's primary, that your primary goal is to find a 304. That is not at all what I'm saying. But it is through this sexual union with the divine feminine, with a woman, that you are to be enlightened. As one of the elders, you know, that I've learned from, Dr. Barashango, said that man could not know God until he had first known woman. And that man cannot say that he is enlightened or divine or chosen and yet disregard, neglect, and disrespect the divine feminine or his own women. And so, you know, you really have to look at it in this aspect of, like, how is it that women, or how is it that, let me start that back. How is it that these high value men can be of high value and of such a leadership role, and yet look at their women as lesser than. That don't make sense to me. You can't be somebody of high value, but you're willing to cheat on them. You're willing to disrespect them. You're willing to look at them as lesser than. But it's like what I was saying before, like, fellas, we got to get rid of that ego. Some of us, we hold ourselves back spiritually. We hold ourselves back from reaching that next level because we fail to accept the divine feminine, and we fail to accept that aspect of ourselves. Some of us men, we don't even know how to tell another person, I love you. Some of us, we don't even know how to express love. We don't even know how to comfort another person, much less ourselves. So how are you going to be high value? You're going to be enlightening, and you're going to be this divine teacher and scholar, or whatever you want to be, right? Claim yourself that you're mightier than thou, you're righteous, more righteous than thou, and yet you can't even please a woman in bed. You can't please a woman in bed. You don't know how to keep a relationship. You don't know how to talk to a woman. Ain't that crazy? You high value, you a good man and all this type of stuff, and yet when you talk to a woman, she gets turned off from like just having a conversation with you within 30 seconds. Self-sabotaging relationships because you asking not just for too much unnecessary stuff. Asking, what do you bring to the table? All this type of nonsense. Don't know how to talk to a woman, don't know how to treat a woman, don't know what it takes to be in a relationship with a woman, because they tell you to focus so much on your mission, and yet in your mission, a part of your mission is to find that woman. A part of your mission is to find the princess, is to be in union with the goddess. I heard a man, and one of the people that I be watching and listening to, one of these podcasts, he was saying that, a part of your step to glory and a part of your step to success as a man is to find a good woman. I'm not saying that a man can't have his phase of, talking to multiple women and having a roster. There are healthy ways in doing that for women as for men. And I'm not going to get into the whole basis of, demonizing sexuality and all those type of stuff, because, if a man can be out here having a roster, a woman can be out here having a roster too. But, when you get down to the nitty gritty and you find that one, that soulmate, as they say, right? That twin flame, which the twin flame is only symbolizing the different aspect of polarities of masculine and feminine energy. Is not talking about like actually finding your twin flame or your actual soulmate. There's nobody that was, particularly created for you. All right, let's not get spooked. Nobody on this world was like specifically made for you. It's just somebody that you can find in this world that you can be compatible with, and then they become your soulmate or your twin flame. That's all that's talking about. So as a man, if you want to learn more about, the divine feminine energy and stuff like that, please follow me on Patreon, and also, on my membership on YouTube as well. I have a lot of great videos on the basis of divine feminine energy, and also on the divine masculine energy. And we talk about different archetypes and different personas and what you can do to embody them, and channel them and invoke them, because these are just different aspects and different faces and different traits of yourself. And a lot of people, they fail to have an understanding of different aspects of themselves. So because they don't understand it, or they don't know how to control it, they suppress it. And a lot of women, they suppress that sexual energy because, one, it scares them. Two, men and women judge them. And three, they don't know how to, it just goes back to number one. They don't know how to control it. They don't know how to embody it and walk in it with confidence. I think three will be a lack of confidence. One, they're scared of it. Two, they get judged for it. And three, it's a lack of confidence. It's a lot of insecurities, because women want to be comfortable in being who they are. And so instead of being the woman that they really want to be, they want to be that Megan Thee Stallion. They want to be JT, Nicki Minaj, Rihanna. You know, these are women that they love. They will literally yank their hair out for some of these women, like Beyonce. These are women that they want to embody, but they rather walk out and about and be that good little girl, good little woman. But they want to be a hot girl. I know women, as soon as Megan Thee Stallion turns on, it's weird, because the more that I start to learn about the wild archetype, and the more that I start to study it, because that's what I've been doing. I've been studying the wild woman archetype, and it's very interesting to me. It's very attracting to me. And I don't know, I don't know what it is right now. That's my, I want to call it a phase, but that's where I'm at right now. Like, that wild woman archetype, there's something about it. Like, I know I've been talking about the primordial Devi and all that stuff, but like, it's different now. It's to a point now I can look at Megan and I don't look at her the same way I did 2 years ago. And I can admit that. It's weird, it's crazy. And the reason why I don't even take it personally, because some people be like, well, you 2 years ago, you were saying Megan did this and this and this, and she still don't, all this type of stuff, right? And, you know, you get caught up in the media and you get caught up in these stunts that they make in the industry. You're going to think that she hates black men. You're going to think that she's this way and that way. Listen, whatever happens in the industry is no more than what happens on a reality TV show. And that's just facts. If you think Will Smith actually meant to slap Chris Rock, if you think, you know, some of these, you know, outings and, you know, people getting offed and whatever the case is, like, this whole world is a circus. And you might think I'm sounding like a conspiracy. I'm far beyond that. But I think you just need to understand that they invest millions, billions, and trillions of dollars into the media, because what you see in the media is just what they want you to see. It's a complete illusion. It's like it's a whole film set, literally, you know, and I would know because I went to school for film. It's a complete film set. It's a stage. It's a circus. It's a ballroom. I literally call the earth a ballroom. And you have to learn to be the observer. And you can also be the one on stage as well. But most definitely you have to be the one in the audience observing everything and just taking in everything that's happening around you. So that's why I don't take what happened with Megan Thee Stallion so seriously. Okay? But to bring it around town, all right, to bring it back, you know, the man needs to learn, right? A lot of us men, we need to learn about this feminine nature. And the more that we learn about this feminine nature, the more, you know, the closer that we'll be to entering different stages of consciousness, entering different stages of spirituality, different stages of ourselves, different parts and different aspects of ourselves, because we'll learn to be more loving, more tender, more graceful, more merciful. Not so necessarily the words or the terms of being soft, you know, but in the terms of, you know, being graceful, you know. So things of that nature, you know, those are things that we need to keep in mind. Those are things that we need to be mindful of as men. You know, we get into this basis of being so tough and you know, being about our mission and just focus on ourselves and stuff like that. And some of these men in the manosphere, red pill content, they sound just as toxic as the women that talk about they can do battle by themselves and they're independent. But listen, just as a man or just as a woman needs a man needs a woman. Yes, Negro, you need a woman. And to even say that, right? If you were to say that in the manosphere red pill, you know, arena, you would be looked at as a punk, or you would be looked at as somebody who's trying to get some poon, some yammy whammies. But it's nothing but the truth. I, as a man, cannot live on. I could not even have came to this world without coming through a woman. So what do I look like saying that I don't need a woman? In some way, in some form, in some aspect, a woman dedicates herself to our life without us even knowing it. Feminine energy, in some way, shape, or manner takes place in our life on an everyday basis, and we don't even know it. So we need to understand that even though this is a man's world, it wouldn't be anything without a woman. In the Hindu, they say that Shiva without Shakti is nothing but a corpse. And Shakti without Shiva has no drive, has no inspiration. They have to come together. A man needs a woman and a woman needs a man. And once we get down to knowing that we need each other, that's just the first step. But right now, you have so many men saying they don't need women, and so many women out here saying they don't need men. But once we get to the ground level of saying, I love you and I need you, and we may have did this to each other, but we need to get back on the same page, now we can progress. But there's so much trauma, right? There's so much trauma with, women who want to do bad all by themselves. In the manosphere take their wounds and their trauma as a way of an awakening, being cold, having a cold shoulder, instead of dealing with their emotions, instead of dealing with their anger, instead of dealing with the things that have happened to them. They take their experience as an awakening moment and learn to cope with that trauma and learn to embody it and maneuver it and shift it into something that is so toxic. and they spew it out in podcasts, and they spew it out in certain content. And a lot of us men around my generation, we ingest it or we digest it. Well, I use the right word. We ingest it into our system. Some of us haven't even had the experience of dealing with women, and yet you're telling men not to get married. You're telling men that they don't need to be married. They don't need women. They don't need to be with women. It's ridiculous. I'm not saying that your main focus should be on women. That's not what I'm saying. But it's a part of your journey. It's a part of the hero's journey. What time is it? Let me head on out. Yep, it's 1:25. I need to head on out here. Okay. It feels good out here though. That's pretty much it though. I think that's all I have to say concerning the basis of this conversation. I feel like I'm missing something or I'm leaving something out, but what else can I say? It's like, we 30 minutes, almost 40 minutes. I'm probably past 40 minutes at this point into this podcast. So we just gonna stop it here. If I got anything else to say, I can always make a part 2, and we'll just have some more content, and that's gonna be episode 69. So I might make it very sexual for episode 69. I might have, I think the next episode for episode 69, I think I might make a podcast to inform men on the importance of a woman's pleasure. Because the male ego, and I can attest to this, that the male ego, we focus so much on our pleasure, and we focus so much on ourselves and what we want in life and how we want our life to go, that we get so selfish that when we invite a woman into our life, or when we deal with a woman into our life, we won't even think about her necessities or what she wants or what she desires or what she needs from you. And that's disheartening, and it's very disappointing. I've I've experienced, and I'm gonna deal with it, when we do that episode, but I've dealt with the basis of got my rocks off and the woman is like right there having to finish off by herself. Embarrassing, right? Now to think about it, right? And at that time I was what, 18, 19, 18, I'm 24 now. But the woman's like right there having to finish off, and she's like frustrated because like, oh, this is just another man, like he just got hit rocks off, and you know, like stuff like that. So that's something we're going to get into real in depth with in episode 69, and dealing with like how a man can treat a woman's body as the temple as it is, you know. Because that's even another thing, you know, men don't see women, you know, in terms of her body, in terms of who she is, as their reflection. The more that you see a woman as your reflection rather than an object, the more I feel like the more you're going to be able to treat her right and talk to her right and communicate with her. But you see so many men talk about how a woman's supposed to cover up and be modest and be upright and all this type of stuff, and you think that because a woman wears lesser clothes than the next woman that you're supposed to objectify her, and you're supposed to look down on her and call her a thought and all this type of stuff. Your perception of women is off. Your perception of women is off. It's dysfunctional. I don't know where you went wrong in your evaluation on women. But to think of a woman as lesser than just because she wears lesser clothes than the next woman, everything's off at that point. But like I said, we're going to be dealing with that. We're going to deal with all of that the next time that we do this podcast. So I don't know if I want to do it outside or inside. I don't know what's the setting going to be like. Whew. But if it's going to be hot like this, we might need to find some shade. That's all I got to say. But thank you for listening to my podcast episode. I thank everybody for listening and, you know, for tuning in and stuff like that, wherever you may be, wherever, you know, if you're listening to this in the car, if you're listening to this while working out, going for a walk in the park, or you just at home chilling, or you making food, whatever the case is, I appreciate every last one of y'all, especially if you're watching this right now on, you know, the premiere on YouTube and stuff like that. So much appreciated. Yeah. Don't forget to hit that like on YouTube. For those who are on Spotify, I think it's on Apple too, but specifically on Spotify, there is a Q&A, and so it will ask you about the topics of the podcast at hand. So make sure that you share your thoughts on this podcast there. And until next time, we out.
The waves brought me a song in the night that spoke in the softening light, words of a lonely one, unknown, caught in the darkening sea, whispering mysteries. Where can that poet be? Remote from my castaway island, he lets his poems drift on the sea. Immersed in the warmth of the current, they touch the deep